You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said. Let's see.
You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know. What if it's all just a dream?
What if all this was designed just to see how we react?
What if this place is trying to torture me?
What if the people these monsters are killing, what if they're all in on it?
What if this is all some kind of fucked up experiment?
What if the answers are out there? Maybe we just didn't go out far enough.
What if the answers are out there indeed? All they got to do is venture into the harmless woods of Fromville. Welcome one, welcome all to another edition, a very special edition of the Fromville Hour. And here it is, folks. This is the moment we have all been waiting for From Season 3 to truly start to kick into gear. And it looks like that is officially happening now that we have our first Season 3 teaser trailer. And like I was saying to Ravener and everybody else in the Discord, it's amazing what 30 seconds of new footage can do for a fandom as a whole. It feels like there has been just a whole new breath of life breathed into the Fromily. And we're going to break every frame of it down.
Yeah, it does it for me, man. Because there's a point at which we're just talking over the same stuff. We're talking over theories. We're talking over what do we want to see in Season 3? What do we wish to see? What do we think we'll see, even if it's not what we want? All this stuff, it's all speculation based on a whole lot of nothing. And you can talk it to death, and it gets to a point where, what we needed is a little bit of fire, firewood for the fire, a little bit of something to spark it up, to get that ember, fully aflame again. And it doesn't take much, man. 30 seconds, we got some meat to chew on, something to look at, and a whole bunch more stuff to speculate on. The one thing in my mind though is this trailer probably is bits and pieces and clips of the entire season, not even like the first episode. So the same way that
probably out of sequence as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna have our minds spinning that may not even get paid off until episode 10. I mean, we saw that with Shogun very, very recently. Some of the stuff that was used in the promo didn't come around until 10 episodes in. So I think we might find that exact same thing happening with From.
I think so. I think you're right. I think you're right on the money. It definitely seems like, and that's always the case with these trailers. And the From trailers, they're pretty clever in the way where they'll try to paint a certain thing one way when really it's just totally different. It's played completely out of sequence. But these trailers are edited very cleverly to make it seem like it's almost one whole scene. So yeah, I totally know what you mean there. But yeah, it's just like you said, it's awesome to have something new to dissect. I love talking Season 3 theories and where we think this thing will go, but now we got something that we can actually dissect and dive into. And I must say, the theories that are already swirling off of this 30 seconds have been so awesome, just in our Discord and our comment sections alone. So this is great. I think this is exactly what the fandom needed as a whole, especially after the extended hiatus that From was on due to the writers and actors strike. This is what the Fromily needed to kind of get back into gear, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, and that was one of my concerns is that because of that extended strike, the show had really just started hitting like the best shows that you haven't watched yet, kind of like top 10 listicles or whatever that they have. It was just starting to get the attention that it deserved for being such a great offering on a very small network. And then wham, here comes the strike, and it's just it's the worst thing that could have happened, because it was a year of nothing. I mean, it wasn't good news or bad news. It was no news, and other things, came, just naturally with human beings. Other things things that are more immediate, things that are directly in front of you are going to move to the forefront of your consciousness, of your thought. And something like From could not afford to have that. So I was glad to see that the fandom embraced it again, really picked up the torch, and we're going to do our part to keep it going. I know the people in the chat, the fanatics, are going to do what they need to do to get it, the social media presence, the retweets, the likes, all that stuff. I mean, at least in season 1 and 2, the cast was super interactive with the fandom also. Even humble me, who's a literal nobody, I'd get a like, a thumb up from Victor or from Boyd, the actors who played that, or Donna would talk to you from time to time. So they did their part, and I just want season 3 to really pick up the torch and go.
Yeah. No, and I think it will. I definitely think it will. It seems like the actors and actresses, they have been kind of active on social media. Every single one of them was out there retweeting the trailer, from Donna to Victor to Boyd himself. So yeah, I'm hoping that we get a similar kind of interaction with the cast and crew that we got during season 2 as well. And I think we will. This cast seems so cool, so down to earth. And it seems like they truly believe in this show and where it's going. And that's always great. You really want your actors and, your main stars to really be invested in a show and not just looking at it like another job. And it seems like they are really into these roles and these characters. So it's looking good, man. All signs are pointing to a go when it comes to From season 3. And we have a gifted memberships from Robert Saunders. Thank you so much, Robert, for the gifted memberships, my friend. 5 gifted memberships. Looks like Leah Bradley is now a member. Ebony Marie is now a member. Cromonocle is now a member. Will Smalls is now a member. And SMB1TWO3 is now a member. Welcome one, welcome all. So glad to have each and every one of you here. And thank you so much, Robert, for the gifted memberships. And of course, if anyone is a member, we have all new From season 3 emojis available for all members. I made sure I went out and got the best cowboy emoji I could find for channel members. And I think it was about time we updated our Boyd emoji. And we need a boy in white emoji. And we also need a jade emoji. So those are all available, as along with the usual smiley and talismans. So thank you, everybody who has become members lately. And thank you for the gifted memberships as well. You guys are the best. And I think you guys know what that means, chat. Robert deserves a whoa.
Whoa!
Indeed. And speaking of the awesome chat, let's scroll up here. Let's see who we have joining us on this fine Tuesday night evening. Before we dive into the Fromville hour, take a look at this awesome trailer. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. You know how Raven and I get down. We can talk about this all day, but we love hearing from you guys in the chat. So I cannot wait to hear everybody's thoughts and theories, especially on one particular question that has been in everyone's minds since the trailer. But let's say what's up, and then we'll watch the trailer together again, and then we will dive into it. We got Real Cannibalist in the house. What is up, Real Cannibalist? Good to see you. We got the Casanova Pugilist in the house. Let's go. From is back. Hell yes, ladies and gentlemen. From is back, and hell yeah, get those tin foil hats on. If you got your tin foil hat, get it on, get it strapped on, because we are going to be going full tinfoil and everything in between tonight. Because like I said, I want to hear your guys' theories. I want to know what you guys have to think for the trailer. Who exactly was being held captive with Boyd? What's going on in that barn? Whose body is on that cart? We got so much to dive into tonight. I love it. We see Scarlett in the house. What is up, Scarlett? Always awesome to see you as well. We got the wonderful Kiwi skirt in the house. Cromonocle is back. What is up, my good friend? Always good to see Cromonocle back in action. And it's great to see all of the Fromily members back here in the chat. It's been a long time, and I know the writer's strike kind of had all of us waiting for some new From content, but our patience has finally paid off, guys. Our patience has finally paid off. And in hindsight, just being, from a YouTube standpoint, knowing that I will be covering House of the Dragon Season 2 very heavily on the channel as well, timeline-wise, the strike almost helped in some ways, because if not, we would be reviewing House of the Dragon and From at the same time, most likely, and that could be a little overwhelming. So I guess there's some silver linings in everything, I guess. Who
Yeah.
knows?
And it's fair, some people are into one thing and not into others. Some people did not dig Shogun at all and were just biding their time. So this could not have come at a better time. This announcement,
Yeah.
The paddles on the chest and jolting some life into the From demographic, came in perfect timing.
It is. And of course, something that we were all speculating on, for a while, knowing that they started filming very early on in the year. A lot of us were wondering when exactly would season 3 potentially hit our screens. And a lot of us thought, man, maybe fall, maybe winter the latest. But it's nice to know that we are indeed going to be getting From season 3 this fall, just probably 5 months away, maybe 6 at most. And I have to imagine that they want From season 3 to be airing right when Halloween comes around. So I wouldn't be surprised if season 3 starts maybe mid-September, early October, the latest. I think we'll get into From season 3. But
yeah,
just a guess.
Yeah, that would work. That would work for the season, seasonality, whatnot. It is going to be 10 episodes.
I believe it is going to be 10 episodes. Yes.
Okay. Holding the pattern of the first 2 seasons. So.
Which is good. I mean, we have seen a lot of shortened down seasons, a lot of it due to the writer's strike. A lot of shows are getting back to work and they want to get seasons out as quick as possible. So they're trimming down some episodes just to get something out. But yeah, hopefully, from what I heard anyway, I haven't heard anything confirmed from MGM, but from what I hear, there will be 10 episodes in season 3. But yeah, we got Bitey in the house as well. The trailer is sufficiently confusing. It really is. And I think they deliberately kind of put it that way. In terms of picking like the perfect scene to turn into a teaser trailer, I mean, it does not get better than this. Like whoever cut together this trailer really knew what they were doing. I have a feeling they really know the fandom, what kind of fandom this is, how we obsessively pore over every little frame of every footage we get. And this was like the ideal kind of small teaser trailer that you could throw fans like us to really dive in and find out what the heck is going on, because it is so confusing, but it's so compelling at the same time, wondering what the heck is going on in that barn, who was on that cart. It's the perfect kind of 30 seconds to throw us.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, man, and believe me, I'm still smarting from the Shogun trailers, how they did us. Just when you dial in, I'm talking to you guys in the chat. If you know who it is that is crying in the barn with Boyd, if you know whose voice that is crying, as soon as you nail that down, don't forget you don't see them. So that crying might be somebody. It might be entirely unrelated to what's happening on the other side of the barn.
Okay, it could be.
We've had that. We've had that where the dialogue, where the voice track doesn't correspond to the same scene in the that they're showing visually on the trailer. So keep that in mind too. Yeah,
they like
Sarah Fatima or Dollar. Yeah, I've heard, man. I've heard pretty much every female option.
Yeah, there's been a lot of options. And again, I have my suspicions who I think it is. I've kind of narrowed it down to 2 possibilities, but yeah, we're going to dive into all of that. We got Doc Hayes in the house as well. What is up, Doc Hayes? Good to see you, my friend. I see Unicorn One in the house. What is up, Unicorn One? Good to see you. Scroll down a little bit more. I see Tim in the house. What is up, Tim? Good to see you as well. Got Julie Barbara in the house. The cowboy is so sinister in that trailer. Looks like he is a new boss in town. R.I.P. Smiley. Absolutely. And I really love that the show needs a new kind of quote unquote a new Smiley. And at first I thought maybe the granny monster from season 1 could be ideal, but it's a little bit of an older actress. You probably want someone who's a little bit more spry to kind of be the face of the monsters. And if there is a better face of the monsters than this freaking cowboy right here, I just don't know who it is. I feel like he's not as creepy as Smiley, but he's definitely the next best thing in terms of having those kind of creepy monster qualities that we have come to know and love him from. I hope we get a lot of him. I really hope he's got a lot of dialogue in this season because he's great. I love Cowboy Monster.
Yeah, and he definitely stepped to the forefront as far as, like, the menacing character. I mean, I don't think you're gonna match Smiley, just and I think that was just good fortune that that guy that, Jamie Maguire, the guy that played
Mm,
Smiley, happened to have that weird look, that weird off-putting, unsettling look naturally in his smile. I mean, he probably creeps people out of the grocery store, when he's
yeah.
smiling at them. But this
And I
guy,
love
you know,
hearing the voice about how he arrived at that smile. Where in an interview he did, he kind of just went for it one day on set. He was never told to smile by the director or anything like that. The smile was just something he thought up on his own. He started thinking about Bond villains and some of the best villains from old classic cinema. They always have that kind of nefarious smile to them. So that was kind of his inspiration on just going for it and seeing if the smile thing would work, and apparently they loved it because it really became a staple of not only the character but the show itself and the monsters themselves now.
yeah, that sick rictus grin, I guess you'd call it. It was just yeah. There was never a right time to see that thing. That thing was creepy always.
There it is. Creepy old Smiley. Yeah, like I said, he might be gone from the show, but Smiley will never be gone from these live streams right here on this channel. We will always have Smiley close in our hearts. And he's up there in the corner right there. We got Smiley's little death scene up there in the corner you guys can always look at if you miss him. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, RIP to Smiley, and hello to the new Smiley, Mr. Cowboy. We got El Plaga in the house. What is up, Plaga? Good to see you as well. Let me scroll down a little bit more. If I missed anybody, I am terribly sorry. There's a lot of you guys in here, which is so awesome, and I cannot wait to hear from each and every one of you about this trailer. I see Bill D. What is up, Bill D? Good to see you. Ebony Marie in the house. What is up, Ebony? We got Too Tall in the building. What is up, Too Tall? We got D Strand in the house. So Boyd no longer has gots to go. Now he knows. Love it. Love it. Yeah, we're gonna dive headfirst into all of these stills. I took stills from every possible, not every, but just about every possible angle from the trailer. I took a screenshot still from. So we're gonna dive headfirst into all of it here in a second. I see Dave Mills in there as well. What is up, Dave Mills? Let me scroll down to the bottom, see if I missed anybody. And again, if I did miss anybody, terribly sorry. This thing tends to jump on me every once in a while, but so glad to have all of you here. What is up, Kayla? Good to see you. I see T-Tunes in. What is up, T? I see Sean M, the creepy cowboy, Woody from Toy Story. He does got a little bit of a Woody aspect to him, huh? Like a demonic Woody. That is pretty true, Sean. That is pretty true. Yeah, absolutely demonic. Says Dr. Deb. Welcome, Dr. Deb. Welcome, Tiffany. Good to see you as well. I don't know how I feel about the monsters talking. It would be cool to see how that came about. It would be scarier if the monsters didn't have that we hadn't seen yet, and so not tell friend from foe. Okay, yeah, that could be pretty interesting. And I wasn't 100% sure how I felt about the monsters having dialogue at first as well. Especially, I don't know if we get much. We don't get a whole lot of dialogue in season one from the monsters, other than what's her name, who gets let into Colony House. Then, of
And
course, we get that
Granny,
little
yeah.
bit. No, not Fanny Pat, Granny.
No, no, the granny who let the who tricked Megan into opening the window.
Yes, we get a little dialogue from her as well. Yeah, and of course the one on the porch there that tried to trick Julie. So their dialogue
Yeah.
has been minimum, but it has been there throughout the show. Season two, of course, Smiley had a little bit of dialogue, which was pretty good. He had the dialogue on the bus. You know, you picked a bad spot to hide. And of course, his
Mhm.
little dialogue with Boyd during his death scene. I wasn't 100% sure how I felt about the dialogue on the monsters at first, but looking back on it, I think it could be good if they utilize it in the right way. Obviously, we don't want the monsters to have a ton of dialogue where they're just speaking every 2 minutes, because a lot of the creepy factor comes from them just being silent with that smile on their face. So I definitely am in the camp where I don't mind the dialogue, but I don't want them to have too much dialogue because it could kind of ruin the image of the monsters, this kind of creepy, force of nature that they are. You don't want to humanize them too much, I would imagine.
Yeah, like having like a whole lot of back and forth kind of stuff, because almost
Yeah.
every instance that we've seen was them trying to say something to persuade or coerce, and we weren't even quite sure whether they weren't trying to hypnotize or otherwise like lure somebody, because they even did that with Randall on the bus. She's like, whatever the granny said to him when she's trying to,
Yep.
are you comfortable in there or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Every single time that they spoke, it always had to do in some way with getting to either to engage them, to let their guard down, to getting one of the citizens to let their guard down, or to lure them, to lull them into a sense of whatever. And I mean, I think even the guy that was talking to Julie, hey Julie, do you remember, don't you remember me? Anything to get her to stop for a second, even if she was processing what's going on. All they needed to do is get within arm's reach, and they could slash and grab and do whatever they needed to do. So it was weird. So it'll be interesting to see them start having dialogues with Boyd. That'll be all new for season 3. Back and forth, and who knows where that's
because it's been kind of quick one-liners up until this point. The little bit of the dialogue that the monsters have had, you're right, it hasn't been like full-on back and forth conversations really, except for Jasmine, the one Jasmine who was let into Colony House. But we actually did hear Cowboys. The Cowboy's voice. We actually did hear a little bit of his voice in season 2 when Fatima and Ellis are inside the police station, and we get the cowboy monster and the Donna's sister lookalike monster up at the door, saying, "Howdy, you look sad. You should come on outside." So yeah, it's like I said, I don't mind a little bit of the dialogue from the monsters. I just don't want them to get too much, I guess. But that's just me. That is just me. There's definitely something different going on with the monsters as they are presenting quite differently in these scenes. It does seem a little bit different, and we have heard from the showrunners and the writers behind the scenes, at least during the filming of season 2, for some of the season 2 behind the scenes features, they did mention that the monsters were evolving in some ways. And I think we could potentially be seeing a little bit more of that, where we're seeing the monsters evolve their tactics even more. I think at this point, we all kind of know they don't want to just kill their victims. They want their victims afraid, like really afraid, before they kind of deliver the killing blow, it seems. But in this trailer, we're seeing stuff that the monsters haven't really done before. I know in season 2, there was that one scene with Kelly where the monsters seemingly kidnap Kelly and shove that rebar through her head and stick her to the tree. So it was little stuff like that we're starting to see. The monsters are kind of evolving their tactics here and there. They're not just solely only killing anymore. They're even into kidnapping, it looks like, in season 3. So who knows? Who knows? Julie Barbara says, I believe the nurse creature will deliver the baby and the creatures will kidnap it, try to break it from Boyd slowly. I didn't think Fatima will die, and we did see a pic of her with Boyd in the woods. And yeah, that was one of my initial thoughts. And a big thank you to everybody who watched my trailer breakdown video yesterday. It was getting some decent views, so I really appreciate that. And that was one of my first thoughts as well. I thought, don't even tell me, please do not tell me that this is a pregnant Fatima being forced to give birth under monster captivity. Please tell me that's not the case. Although that is definitely the sick kind of thing we could probably expect from this show. But then, the more I start listening to the voice, the voice really does kind of sound like Sarah. A lot of people have pointing out we have heard Sarah scream multiple times in previous episodes, whether it's when she's getting the migraines, when she's hearing the voices. We've heard Sarah scream plenty of times. And it does kind of sound a little similar to Sarah. But I'm at this point where I kind of think it's one of those two. But before we dive into that, let's just go through the trailer scene by scene, and then we will dive into the juicy stuff at the end. Now, of course, this first frame that we see, which is something that I think a lot of us all anticipated, and a lot of us were at least thinking would happen in season 3, that we would get some snow in Fromville. And it looks like we do indeed have snow on the ground. Again, not a whole lot of snow, not the blizzard that I think a lot of us were hoping to see in season 3, but the theme of the cold weather continuing to come around seems to still be happening in season 3, where a lot of us thought maybe some sort of winter was around the corner. Looks like that is the case. Everybody is still dressed in some pretty warm attire. And of course, obviously, the snow on the ground is a dead giveaway. So I guess my first question is, how bad do you think winter will get before the temperature or the seasons revert back to its normal state? Because again, it seems like this place was in a constant state of almost spring or summer the entire time, at least for the last 40 plus years that Victor has been here. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting a weather change, and something has to be the cause of that. Whether it's the meddling of the survivors, maybe getting a little bit closer to finding answers than previous iterations have. Maybe it has something to do with Tabitha leaving, Boyd trying to find out answers. We know that this place can seemingly get upset and kind of push back if people try to leave too much. So, what do you guys think in the chat? And what do you think, Ravener, as well? How bad do you think this winter will get in season 3?
I think we're gonna get I think it's gonna be winter the whole season. It ain't going away. And just like you said, the one way that that Fromville displays its displeasure with what the residents are doing is through climate occurrences like the thunderstorm when they were setting up the radar tower or the radio tower. So yeah, we got the thunderstorm, the massive thunderstorm, worse than anything that they had seen when they were putting up the radio. And then obviously something that whether it was Tabitha passing through the lighthouse into wherever it is that she ended up, or whether it was the the entity, the cicadas and all that stuff, that portion of the plan getting foiled essentially by Boyd. I think we're going to have we're going to have a hard winter, and it probably will get worse before it gets better. And, because they are also up in Nova Scotia, so it's probably a short putt for them to wait for, and this was filming, all during winter weather. I think, and I mean, I think it would make a very powerful visual that no matter what happens in season 3, all 10 episodes transpire, and whatever other plan that the town or the monsters or the entity, if you want to call it that, whatever plan gets foiled, somehow it might get foiled in a way that really reduces its influence on the the climate of the town, and you'll see something start thawing. You'll see a little leaf and a couple droplets of water showing that it's thawing, and then that'll be the little glimmer of hope. I could see that being like the very last scene of the entire season, something like that.
The season, maybe.
Yeah.
I get the feeling the winter is probably going to last at least a good portion of season 3. I don't think the winter is just going to be all of a sudden gone within the first few episodes. I tend to agree with you, and a lot of people in the chat seem to think that the winter is going to last a while. But Michael Dice has seemingly solved the mystery for all of us. That screaming was someone getting a Mari haircut.
Oh my God, a fate worse than death. Yeah, give me the monsters.
What could be worse than death? If nothing else, maybe a Mari haircut. Yeah. However cold it gets, it won't be as cold as the shoulder Christy gives Kenny. Snug, man. It's cold indeed. Cold indeed. I think the changes started when Victor noticed the trees moving and then 2 cars in one day. That's a good point, Leah Bradley, because very at the very beginning of the first season, we see Victor out there behind Colony House kind of measuring the distance from the Colony House to the tree line, and he was under the assumption that the trees were already starting to move. So maybe this kind of pseudo winter was maybe already on its way. That's a good point. That's a very good point indeed. I like that. I wonder how much Victor knows. I remember he gave Ethan that jacket last season. He knew what the fuck was going on. Yeah, again, I feel like we went through a lot of we learned a lot about Victor's character in season 2. Obviously, we got a little bit of his backstory, found out a little bit more about his mother, and of course, found out that he had a long-lost sister that his memory had kind of been repressing. But with all of those revelations, you start to think, okay, how reliable is Victor's memory? How much does he remember? How much of what he remembers is actually accurate? So it's one of those things where we kind of all started to question a little bit how much Victor truly knows, and how much that he reveals is going to be accurate in the future. So that's it's a good point. I mean, what is going on with Victor and his memory? I have no clue.
Yeah, and that was always one. I mean, that was always one of his like big cop outs. Really, is like I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's like, man, there's a point at which you want to grab somebody by the shoulders and say, "Look, you're gonna dump every single thing that you know about this world that we're living in. People are dying right and left. You don't get the option to withhold withhold critical knowledge just because, oh, I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's like looks like that's like Forrest Gump tier, and that's all I have to say about that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. We're gonna have a town council and everybody's gonna dump everything that
Yeah,
everything
we're
that you
sharing
think
information this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big complaint from a lot of fans, myself included, because it's just like everybody has this information and it seems like nobody's sharing it, or at least they're not sharing it with each other on screen, which is, I hate when vital stuff happens off screen. It's just a pet peeve of mine. But I get they only have so much time. You guys have to remind me, isn't one of Victor's drawings of a Christmas tree? I do believe so, yes. I do believe one of his drawings is of a Christmas tree with lights on it. I do vaguely remember seeing that. Yeah, I think you're right, Tyler. I think you are right. Winter is coming. Wait for the Night King to arrive. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, I just hope Sam and Dean pull up in their 67 Chevy Impala one of these days and get ready for a monster hunt. But Snug has a interesting comment here as well. This is pretty interesting. I think getting rid of the music box got rid of the monster's leader, and now they're trying to figure out what to do without one. That's an interesting concept. As to who exactly is leading these monsters. Is there some sort of hierarchy? We did see kind of some small evidence that the entity was, if not controlling the monsters, maybe giving them some direction, especially when we see the scene in season 2 when Boyd, Jim, and Randall are in the tipped over RV in Donna. We see the monsters slowly coming towards the RV, and all of the monsters stop all at once. And right after that, boom, the entity shows up in the RV, almost like the monsters knew the entity was right around the corner. So, who knows,
Right.
Snug? You could be onto something there, man.
Yeah. Like the boss is here. We don't have to keep moving forward because the boss is going to take care of it. And that's when, you did get the rumble. You got the channel 47 on the radio. All the different things that happen. But yeah, the monsters just stop cold in their approach. So
Yeah,
that is true.
good stuff, guys. Victor knows the cycle was about to restart when his sister left his sister left town. A huge event happened. Now that Tabitha left, that will happen again, sadly. That's a very good point, a very good possibility, Cromononcle. Yeah, it seems like Victor's sister, at least from the little evidence that we have so far, it seems like Victor's sister did make it out, or at least made it to the same place where Tabitha got to. And then, yeah, boom, the massacre happened that same night. So maybe every time someone leaves Fromville that isn't supposed to, there's some kind of consequences there. That's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. All right, let's see what else we got here. Now, next, of course, we see this, and this, of course, has been one of the biggest mysteries of the trailer, as well as opposed to who exactly is on the cart that Boyd and Jade are carrying. And I've seen so many theories, from people analyzing shoes to people thinking it's this character, that character. The reason why I'm not analyzing shoes as closely as others, as I think, although it could be a clue as to who's here analyzing shoes, I highly doubt. I mean, unless I'm wrong, it seems like these characters could potentially have more than one pair of shoes. So just because we saw someone wearing white shoes at one point, I don't automatically assume that this could be one of those people. I guess that's my kind of thinking. Although who knows? I mean, maybe the shoe could be a big clue as to who is in there. I know a lot of people were looking at the shoe and thought that this was either Julie, or that this could even potentially be the nurse monster. A lot of people were thinking that this was potentially the nurse monster that we see in season 2, which does make a small appearance in this season 3 trailer. The nurse monster is present in that barn with Boyd, it seems.
Interesting.
But right off the bat, looking at this, everyone in the chat would love to get your opinion as well. Who exactly do you guys think is on this car, and what do you think is going on in this scene? And Ravener, what was your first thought when you saw this?
I mean, I think I texted you the minute that I saw it. I said, that's Tilly. I thought it's got to be Tilly. She is somewhat of a expendable character. She had a little bit of, some of that convenient, like she conveniently popped up in places, knew a little more than somebody probably would have when they just got off the bus. I'm still going with my idea that they're going to have to lose a lot of people just because they had so many people arrive on the bus, And we thought that, we kind of think that there's a parody. Like there was the massacre at Colony House, and then suddenly a bus appears. Well, they lose 20 people and gain 25, or something like that.
Yeah, is there a
One of those
connection
kind of
between the two?
situations. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I thought no matter what happens, whether that's true or not, that they have a whole bunch of surplus excess characters that they can, or but how can they flesh out everyone? They could barely flesh out everybody. Give everybody the screen time they need to move the plot forward just with the characters that they had existing. I think they're working. They're working with Bacta. They're working with a few other, trying to humanize them or give them a little thing. I just said it was Tilly off the bat. It could be Tian Chen, Kenny's mom, or then it also popped into my mind. They still haven't dug up. They still haven't wheeled in Tobias from where he got shot out in the shed. Or it could be a no name. It could be Clara, the chick with the eye patch. It could be a ultra minor character, but of course our mind is going to go to which main character could it be on the cart, and it might be the equivalent of a red shirt.
It could just be an extra for all we know.
Yeah,
it could just be an extra, just a background character that happened to get slaughtered by one of the monsters. You're right. I mean, us as fans, I think we throw on our tinfoil hats and we instantly think, what kind of main character could be in this situation? But yeah, you're right. It could just be a random body for all we know. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But Julie Barbara is right. It seems like a whole Footgate is going on here. Hashtag Footgate has started, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, Cromwell says, everyone rewatch season 2 and look for sneakers.
You got it. But I'm gonna stick with my initial instinct then, and I'm gonna say it's Tilly until proven otherwise. So that'll be my guess.
All right. I like it. Yeah. I mean, again, at this point, we have no idea. So every suggestion is as valid as the next, I would suppose.
Yeah. Place your bets, chat. Place your bets.
Yeah. Place those bets. People keep saying it looks like a woman's foot because it looks small, but I think it looks more like a man's foot, and it just looks small because one of the shoes is off. That's definitely a possibility, and it looks like the shoe is the foot's also a little bit mangled there as well. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a male or a female foot. Who knows? But yeah,
or a child or a teenager. It could be.
Yeah, Yeah, it could be anything really. I mean, judging by the size of Boyd's hand next to the shoe, next to the foot, it does seem like it's probably an adult foot. But that's really the only thing I can ascertain from this is the size. I get the feeling it is an adult, but it being right next to the shoe, it kind of looks way smaller, so that might give it the appearance of a smaller foot, maybe. But yeah, who knows?
Or if they were dragged, the shoe might not even be on the foot securely. It might be dangling from the toes and look like a lot bigger. It could look a size bigger than the foot that it's actually on. So yeah, man.
Yep. And Robert Saunders says it's the nurse monster. Boyd killed her when he escaped the barn. And this, I like this theory. I know this has been becoming a popular theory. Again, a lot of people think that it might be the nurse. After Boyd has, maybe killed the nurse in escaping. There's just so much about that scene that we have no idea what is going on. Or it could just potentially be two totally unrelated instances. Whatever is happening in the barn with Boyd at the end of the trailer might be something totally different than the body we're seeing here. I know, the trailer kind of might make it seem like it could be similar or connected, which they could be. But it could also be two totally different scenes too. And that's the beauty of these trailers. They really kind of, they give you that perfect amount of information for us as fans to kind of latch on to, have a lot of fun with theorizing, guessing what is happening, when really, they're kind of playing sleight of hand with the footage there, playing it out of sequence maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's a man's foot, says D. Strand. All right, awesome. I'm good with the foot, says Kayla. Yeah, Kayla is not a foot fan. Next thing we're going to see Larry's pop up from House of the Dragon. He's looking for the other shoe. The shoe size looks like it's too big for the foot. I mean, I could see what you mean there. You look at the shoe, you look at the foot here. And if you kind of match it up to this shoe, it almost seems like the foot would kind of end right about here. And who knows? What if there's two bodies in this car and it's not just one body even? What if this is two totally different legs from two totally different bodies for all we know? I mean, we really have no idea. This car is rather small. It's not a huge car, but you could easily fit more than one body part on it. So yeah, who knows, Ray Barnes? It does look like they are maybe two different sizes. So you could be onto something there, man. Could be onto something there. Taking one shoe off makes it purposely misleading because it makes that barefoot look tiny. And again, it is kind of one of those things where it's about your perception as well, right? I totally see that as well, Julie. Because yeah, I mean, like you said, you take the shoe off of one and instantly it kind of looks like two totally different feet. Where is that just our perception, or is it something else? That's a good point. That's a very good point. And yeah, Tyler brings up it could just be body parts. Yeah, exactly. And those two legs aren't actually connected. They're just cleaning up the mess. I don't think it's interesting. Kenny isn't helping, and instead Jade is. Yeah, and that's an interesting thing as well. You would see kind of Kenny, with Jade in this moment, unless Kenny is actually in the frickin' box for all we know. Yeah, it's weird to see Boyd and Jade of all people dragging this thing. Where are they? Yeah, Boyd. Yeah, here we see Boyd and Jade dragging this thing. But yeah, great theories, guys.
Right.
Looks like there is some crap on the shoe, so it's definitely someone who has done something bad.
Yeah, and they're right. The vanishing blood on Boyd's shirt. We know this is out of sequence because, like at one point in the trailer, it's completely clean and there's nothing on his shoulder. Yep. Then there's a part where it is mostly clean, but there is blood on his shoulder. And now this one, he's got blood everywhere. So yeah, this could be cleanup duty. We saw that tantalizing piece of leaked script where Kenny's like, you guys worry too much. We'll be right back. That kind of thing. So yeah, that may be where Kenny is. He's still wherever he went. It's hard to say.
It could be. That's a good point. That's a very good point. We got Dana Marie with a member chat. Thank you so much, Dana, for being a member of the channel for 11 months, going on 1 year. Wow, thank you so much. Thanks for the fun streams. As always, I'm starting to think the cicadas were a misdirect to get Boyd to destroy the music box, knowing he would have to save the 3. And again, I mean, that's been a very interesting theory. And I know, Dana, you've been kind of championing that theory since very early on. Potentially thinking that maybe the entity wanted Boyd to destroy that music box the entire time, that maybe there was a little bit of, skullduggery, little trickery going on there. And that could be interesting. I am definitely of a mind that I don't think the entity is 100% gone. We do see one scene in this trailer that we see the cicadas flying towards Colony House, and that is a shot from season 2. That is not new footage. That is definitely a season 2 shot. But I have to think they threw that in this trailer for a reason. It seems like it could be some sort of hint. Even though it's not new footage, it could potentially be a hint that maybe the cicadas or the entity is not fully gone. I just get the feeling the entity isn't all the way gone. It seemed like it was not too easy, but maybe a little too easy. But who knows?
Yeah.
And thank you as well, Dana, for the gifted memberships as well. We got 2 gifted memberships from Dana Marie. Thank you so much, Dana. It looks like Kayla is now a member, and it also looks like Saltwater Cowboy is now a member. Welcome one, welcome all. So glad to have all of you here. And thank you so much, Dana, for the gifted memberships. I see the whoa emojis in the chat, so you guys know what that means.
Whoa!
Yep, that is the rule of this channel, is there's no such thing as a lurker, because you guys are so generous with the gifted memberships that, if you're just hanging around, you're going to get a membership sooner or later. And thank you, Dana Marie. That is super cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, very nice of you. Very nice of you. Yeah, the foot looks broken or deformed. Yeah, it does look like it's a bit mangled. Like if you see right here towards the end, the foot looks like it's been a bit mangled due to the monsters, or maybe due to being dragged, like you were saying, Ravener. It looks like there's been some damage had on that foot. Definitely. And of course, here we see Victor, and around Victor, it's kind of hard to see in the still, but in the moving shot, you can kind of lightly see snow is currently still falling. So although it's not a whole lot of snow falling, we are still seeing a little bit of snowfall. This was another shot that a lot of people were talking about, at least in our Discord anyway, in terms of trying to dissect the shoulder injury here on Boyd and trying to find out whether or not this was the same outfit that Boyd was wearing at the end of season 2 when he gets shot, but with the shotgun, which of course is that same arm. But if we look a little bit later in the trailer, it's kind of hard to tell. It almost looks like this might be the buckshot from the shotgun, but it almost looks like it could be a scratch or a claw from a monster. And if we look later on in the trailer, I know Scarlett pointed it out in the Discord as well. It almost looks like there are claw marks on Boyd's shoulder in the barn, which we are going to take a look at. But next, of course, enter the monsters. Enter Mr. Cowboy. And like I said, I get the feeling Cowboy is going to be a very, very fun monster in season 3. Smiley's gone. Cowboy's got to step up and become the new Smiley, as it were. But back to you guys' thought. Here it is. We get this shot right here, and it's kind of hard to tell whether or not it's just folds in his shirt or whether or not that's claw marks. I know people were thinking it could be either. But here we see the shirt on Boyd. It's completely clean, no blood on it. So obviously when we see Boyd and Jade in the street afterwards, it seems like that is taking place after this event here in the barn, seemingly anyway.
Yeah,
we all know how tricky these trailers can be. But what do you think,
yeah.
Raven? You think those could be?
100% it's claw marks, man. I mean, it'd have to be like Henry VIII or something to have pleats on his shoulder or whatever. I don't think that's his style. I don't think Carhartt or whoever it is making these, these casual button up the front.
The casual fold there.
Yeah. This stuff is that's if he was a minstrel or something, from the medieval period, then he might have that. It might be party colored, whatever. But this is definitely a scratch. That's what I'm calling.
Yeah, and let us know what you guys think in the chat as well. Do you guys think this could be a scratch? And do you think this could be related to that the same shirt that we see at the beginning of the trailer where Boyd's very same shoulder is kind of bloody? It does kind of look like it's almost 3 claw marks, almost 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I mean, you guys are convincing me. It does look like it is potentially claw marks, although, I mean, it doesn't look like we see any blood coming from it, but this could be right after he gets clawed, and maybe it just hasn't had time to start bleeding yet. So that was my only thing that was the only small evidence point to it maybe being folds, since there's no blood there. But it could be, like you said, very recent, just happened. Maybe it just didn't start to bleed yet.
Yeah. And I think and that's how tricky they would be. They might show a scene like this where if you're catching it, if you're only watching it one time, if you are not a fanatic like we are, like the chat is, and you're just catching it one time, for all intents and purposes, everything's intact. He's being held, but whatever, but yeah, that could be literally the second that he got scratched and the blood just hasn't welled up yet, and definitely hasn't soaked through yet. But
could be,
because we get other scenes right in this exact same background where it actually has. We will see that, I'm pretty sure. It's just these trailers, they tend to give you the perfect kind of footage to make you kind of scratch your head. What the heck is going on there? Where it kind of maybe looks like one thing but could be something totally different. Again, I really think they chose the perfect 30 seconds to release to us to kind of get those wheels moving. Ray Barnes says the shoulder injury happens while Boyd is in the barn based off the clean shirt. And that's what it seems like from the trailer, yes. Looks like Boyd has initial painted in his blood on him. Oh, initials painted in his blood on him. Interesting. It almost looks like it, doesn't it? Kayla, I noticed that as well, and I don't know if it was just me, like my mind playing tricks on me, but tell me it doesn't kind of look like it, like a T and almost an I, or almost a V in a T. Like it does almost look like initials. I mean, it could just be us, looking at shapes in the clouds, but who knows? Maybe that's actually a good point. Or throw a circle around it, and it might be the symbol.
Ooh, the symbol. If there's a circle there, okay, I like it. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I kind of almost saw I and then T, but it almost looks like a V maybe. And yeah, maybe even the symbol if you kind of put the circle around it. So who knows, guys?
If you squint your eyes and turn your head sideways and tilt, and I know I'm stretching, but that's a lot. It's allowed.
Yeah, it's allowed. That's what I mean. Again, that's what this show's for. If you guys are ever going to kind of strap that tinfoil hat on, as I always say, and dive into that rabbit hole, this is the show to do it for. I mean, this show was made for these kinds of discussions to dive into the mystery, and that's why we always have so much fun doing these streams. Kayla says it looks like Rips. Kiwi also thinks it looks like Rips as well. You are focused on the shoulder. Look at the blood across his chest. Yeah, the letters that we were just seeing. Yeah, it almost looks like letters. Yeah, it could potentially be letters. Dana says claw marks as well. I call Cowboy Woody, says Tyler. Wolverine marks, says Kiwi. Yeah, it does. It is. Do you think the weather changed the vibes of the monsters? I mean, I guess it's a possibility. It does seem like the monsters are kind of evolving in a way. And we did hear some of the writers and the showrunners during the season 2 behind the scenes footage say that the monsters are evolving now. They're changing their tactics. And this is, if nothing else, this is definitely a little bit of a change in tactics. The monsters don't usually kidnap people and force them to watch something like this. Although, who knows? Maybe they do. I mean, these monsters, we don't really quite know their full motives yet and how exactly they do what they do, why they do what they do, what's controlling them. Do they have their own agency? Is there someone or something guiding these monsters? Still so many questions. There is a picture image where Boyd definitely has blood on the collar, which matches the blood on season 2, episode 10. Ooh, okay. All right, we'll have to take a look at that. We'll have to take a look at that. If you mean here during the beginning, this part, I didn't see any blood on his collar here, unless it's in a different shot. But doesn't look like there's any blood on his collar here, at least. Unless you were talking about a different shot, maybe. I don't know. See his
That
collar
does actually,
here.
yeah. The blood when he's walking with the body parts, it almost is a callback to the blood that he had on him when he was when he's loading Frank into the wheelbarrow. The parts of Frank from the box.
Yeah.
It just kind of got all over the place. There's no clean way to pick up the parts.
Yeah, and again, could these be like two totally different, unrelated scenes? Like, what if he's pulling someone out of the box right here? What if someone actually gets stuffed in the box in season 3, and this is the next morning? I don't think that's likely, but who knows? But yeah, here it does. Looking at the trailer, that the shot that we see later on in the trailer, in this shot, it almost does look like these are kind of claw marks right there on the shoulder. So if nothing else, it would at least match up with these claw marks, even though there's no blood on them in this scene. Maybe it's just a fresh wound at this point and it hasn't bled yet. But they do seemingly kind of line up a little bit. But I don't know, guys. So many questions. And yeah, definitely claw marks that then begin to bleed. That was kind of my thinking as well, because the lack of blood was the first thing I noticed as well. Like where exactly is the blood though, right? That was the first thing I noticed as well. And my only explanation is what Dr. Deb says as well, that maybe these are claw marks and it just hasn't had time to bleed yet. Like maybe this is right after he gets clawed. Because if we look here, obviously it looks like Boyd is in some sort of pain here in this one shot. That doesn't look like I'm afraid. That looks like, holy shit, I just got scratched on my arm type look. So maybe this is right as he's getting clawed and the blood just hasn't had time to fall yet. Good point. Did Boyd not change his shirt at any point in the past season? So he has multiple of the same shirt. So if he does have them, he could have changed the bullet hole shirt. And that's definitely a possibility as well. It seems like Boyd... It seems like for the most part, he's always kind of wearing that black coat, that black overall coat that he always has on. But it seems like he sometimes has different shirts on under it, whether it's a shirt like this. He's worn blue shirts in the past. Actually, our channel emoji, our Boyd channel emoji, is him in a blue shirt as well. So he does have multiple shirts. I don't think he's just going around Fromville wearing the same shirt over and over again. So I imagine he does change. Yes. I think the creatures scratched him. They did use long claws to slit poor Katri's throat. This is true. We have seen the kind of nasty claws that these creatures have. I mean, if we look back to the very first episode, one of the very first scenes of the very first episode, we see our good old granny. and we see her hands instantly turn into claws as she's kind of morphing into monster form. So they seemingly have some razor sharp claws. So they're definitely capable of doing some slashing, if nothing else. So that's a good point. Very good point, guys. Let's see what else we got. Scrolling down. I think Donna was hiding, but she said her sister screamed the entire night before they killed her just before morning, and Donna could still hear her sister's screams almost 4 years later. Yeah, the story that Donna tells, it's pretty horrific at once. Donna, of course, had the misfortune of arriving in Fromville when it was already dark, and of course, there were no talismans back then when Donna first arrived as well. So, I mean, she really had to get lucky in order to survive that night. And yeah, I mean, did they potentially leave Donna's sister, half alive as a form of bait, maybe to lure Donna out and potentially get Donna too? I mean, they're clever and crafty, and it seems like they have used bait, some sort of bait in the past. So who knows? Yeah, who knows? But so much stuff going on. Do you think Fatima's giving birth when Boyd's calling out or someone being killed? And yeah, let's just dive into that, shall we? Because again, that is one of the biggest mysteries here of the trailer. And again, I definitely want to get everybody's thoughts on this as well. But before we dive into it, I'm going to play the trailer one more time so we can actually hear some of the dialogue and maybe, just maybe, hear who that scream could potentially be. But yeah, one last time, let's play the trailer and let's see if we can hear and identify this poor, helpless victim that is either giving birth or being torn apart, one of the two.
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said. Let's see.
You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know.
Whew, man, it's such an intense freaking scene, man. I love it. I love every second of it. And at first, I thought there was only 3 monsters in here until we got the shot of this other monster poking their head out right here. Actually, I have a better shot of it at the end. Let's see. Now here we can see her a little bit better. At first, we thought there's only 3 monsters in there, but actually, it looks like the nurse monster herself is in there as well. Or at least it kind of looks like the nurse monster that we saw in season 2. So there is indeed 4 monsters in the barn that night. But again, guys, let's get your thoughts and theories. What do you think is happening here in this scene? And who do you think is being held captive with Boyd in the barn? I get the feeling it's got to be maybe Sarah or Fatima. Again, the Fatima being forced to give birth under these kind of conditions, that could just make for such a crazy, gut-wrenching, interesting scene. But then again, sound-wise, it does kind of sound like Sarah's screams based on the Sarah screams we've heard in the past. So who knows? Or who knows? Maybe it's someone else entirely. But Ravener and everybody in the chat, let me know. What do you guys think? What's happening in this scene?
Oh man, I mean, and I know that somebody in our Discord is going to do a voice analysis side by side. I'm feeling 90% that it's Sarah.
I do actually have somebody working on the audio right now. I'm waiting to hear back from them.
yeah, zoom and enhance all that stuff. Yeah. No, I definitely I think it's Sarah, and that might just be because we've heard Sarah crying so much, like you guys have said. In season 2 with the migraines, with when she approached the ruins of the watchtower and all that stuff. I'm leaning 90% towards Sarah, and then 10% for some reason I something in my lizard brain heard a little bit of Julie in there. I didn't pick up Fatima though, and a lot of people hear Fatima in there, her vocal tendencies. I'm hearing just a shade, just this hint of Julie, just enough to give me that bit of doubt, but I'm going to go 90% Sarah on that in this scene. If if that is her crying, and if that's what's going on in this scene, again, the vocals are completely divorced from what the visuals of what's going on. So unless we see more in a future trailer, but right now that's where I'm landing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sound-wise, it does. Again, maybe it's just because we've heard Sarah scream more than a lot of the other characters, but yeah, sound-wise, it does kind of sound like Sarah the most. I personally, just fan-wise, I think the Fatima scene would be the coolest to see, but sound-wise, it does kind of sound like Sarah a little bit more than anybody. But let's see what you guys are saying. Nikki says, "Oh my God, if the nurse monster helped Fatima give birth, chills." I know, right? Just like imagine the visuals of that scene alone. And again, the dialogue of Boyd later on, right after the scene, we hear Boyd saying, "I know, you're so strong." It's just, it seems like that kind of dialogue you would say to someone that is giving birth, not someone that's being clawed to death. So that was another kind of, reason that I thought maybe there is something to the Fatima.
Yeah, a cesarean with a big giant claw. That'd be gross. Yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? King Spirit says Sarah or Julie definitely doesn't sound like Fatima to her. Snuggy says it's Kenny.
I won't say no.
It's Kenny. Yep. Mystery solved, guys. Let's go home. Stream over. Tyler says, "I just have a hard time buying the Fatima birth theory bearing a huge time jump." Well, again, that's the thing. I mean, in terms of time jumps, we're not quite sure what's going on. And as far as Fatima's pregnancy, we have no idea what's going on either. I mean, we're assuming that it's going to be a normal 9-month gestation pregnancy because that's what we're used to. But I think we could be dealing with something totally different here. It seems like Fatima was under the assumption that she couldn't even get pregnant at all to begin with. So we might not need a 9-month period for this baby to be born. I mean, this is Fromville after all, so who knows? Kiwi Skirt says Sarah is her pick. I feel like Fatima Monster Baby is a replacement for Boyd killing Smiley Monster. Ooh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Maybe. Who knows? I'll guess Fatima, that would really up the stakes for Boyd. It really would. I mean, in terms of kind of shaking Boyd to his core a little bit more, because it seems like the purpose of this barn scene is to break Boyd, obviously. We hear the monsters come out and say, "You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said." And then we hear the cowboy monsters say, "Let's see." So it seems like this scene is kind of engineered to break Boyd. It seems like whoever else is in the barn with Boyd is just an unwitting participant to break Boyd. It seems like the scene is about him, not about who's getting tortured or Fatima, whoever it ends up being. Seems like the scene is specifically designed to break Boyd. So if that is the case, it stands to reason you would want to have someone, the monsters anyway, would want to have someone in the scene that Boyd does heavily care about. And obviously, I mean, Fatima carrying his grandchild definitely cares about that. Although he does care about Sarah now too. Boyd and Sarah did develop a pretty good bond over season 1 and season 2, where, Boyd kind of got to see the other side to Sarah. And at first he kind of condemned her, but then he started to slowly realize that this place has a way of, screwing with you and getting in your head. So Boyd and Sarah do have a deep enough connection where this could kind of break Boyd too if it is Sarah as well. So who knows, man? Who knows? A lot of stuff. I hear Julie too. Yeah, there's a little, again, I mean, it's so hard to tell with just a simple little scream. Again, like really, it's just hard to tell. I mean, it's a quick scream. It only lasts a second or two. It's not very loud. So it is kind of hard to kind of pick up, dialect and tones in just a scream like that. Although it does kind of sound like Sarah, it could just as easily be Julie. Yes, definitely.
That'd be a rough road for Julie. I mean, she just barely recovers from the cicada attack, and then she gets wrapped up in this, and that's a hell of a one too. And her mom's gone. Then again, that might be how she got. That might be how she got. She might have, been a headstrong teenager and said, "I'm going to look for my mom," and that's how she gets snatched up. You never know. I mean, that's pure speculation, pure guessing, but that's how that kind of stuff happens.
That's what this is for. That's how it does happen. The teenager wanders off into the woods trying to find her lost mother and gets snatched up by monsters. It's very plausible, if nothing else. Definitely. It could make sense if the nurse takes the baby, then the photo we saw of Boyd and Fatima by the cabin are them out searching for it. Now, that is one thing that I thought as well, too, because when we see that picture of Boyd and Fatima out there in the cabin, although Fatima's wearing some baggy clothes, it doesn't really look like she's showing anymore. So that's interesting, Dr. Deb. Yeah, maybe the leaked photo that we got of Fatima and Boyd over at the cabin, maybe that is them going after the baby after this happens. That could be interesting as well. That could be very interesting. I like that. I like that. Yeah, women screams, they all sound the same in Fromville, it seems. It's just hard to tell with just a quick scream like that, but who knows? And yes, you can see the nurse's face in the frame. Yes, the nurse is present here in this scene. Again, here we go. We have, it looks to be the nurse. It looks like the nurse hat. I mean, it looks like that's the nurse. I mean, it looks more like the nurse than any other monster we've seen. So yeah, it looks like the nurse is present here in this scene as well.
I was
We
wondering
also need to
because
consider.
oh
Sorry, go ahead.
that guy looks like he's in like a mechanic's coveralls, but the other mechanic, the yoked mechanic, was real muscular, right? Because he had his sleeves rolled
This,
up. That's how we knew he was jacked, right?
yeah, this is a different mechanic. We did see this mechanic in season 2 as well, though. If we go back to season 2, the episode where Randall is in the bus, when Granny comes up to Randall and all of the other monsters come up to the bus, this mechanic and the nurse are both monsters present in that scene.
Okay, okay,
So we have seen this mechanic before.
okay.
We also need to consider the fact that it's Sarah's voice, but will be someone different in the actual episode. LOL, but I think it's Sarah's voice. And again, yeah, like Ravener was saying, these scenes, sometimes the audio doesn't always match the visual that we're being showed in certain trailers. They like to kind of switch things up and play tricks on us every once in a while. I tend to think it is from the same scene, but it could be something different as well. So who knows? You might be right. For Boyd to have that reaction, it would have to be Fatima or Sarah. I mean, you would think in terms of, who's closest to Boyd, in terms of females in the town, who is closest to Boyd, familiar wise. Obviously, yes, Fatima being, his his son's wife and now carrying his grandchild. But then again, yeah, Sarah and Boyd are pretty close as well. But Boyd's pretty close with Christy too, even. And I imagine he wouldn't let something like this happen to Julie either. We saw the lengths that Boyd went to save Julie, Mari, and Randall. So in terms of this breaking Boyd, it could kind of be either one of them. I feel like each of them would have a profound effect on Boyd, but Sarah and Fatima would probably have the biggest effect on Boyd. I do agree there. Yeah. If it was Julie, it would make more sense if her father was there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Where exactly is Jim in all this? Where is Jim? It's clear that the monsters enjoy torture, e.g., Donna's sister, Brian, and Kelly. Yeah, it seems like they don't just want to kill their victims. It seems they want them afraid. Again, I know a lot of us have theorized that maybe the monsters kind of almost feed on fear, even if nothing else. Which is right out of kind of Stephen King It, if nothing else. And there has been so many kind of It parallels. I know the writers of this are huge fans of Stephen King, and even Stephen King has kind of gone out of his way to praise this show on more than one occasion. So yeah, it's they want their victims afraid. They're not here to just kill. They're here to scare you for sure. We don't see Fatima in the trailer. No, we don't see Fatima in the trailer. There's a few characters that we don't see at all in the trailer. Obviously, we get no Tabitha. We get no Jim. We get no Kenny, no Tien Chen. There's a lot of characters that we just don't even see at all in the trailer. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell. Look at Boyd's face with tears in his eyes, saying these words of encouragement. That's the face of a man watching his daughter-in-law having his grandchild in a horrific situation. And that was one of the things that kind of convinced me that it could potentially be Fatima as well. It was just the dialogue there. Everything that Boyd is saying here in this scene where, I know, you're so strong, you're so strong. It's just that kind of dialogue does kind of seem like it's someone coaching somebody through something. Although maybe it's not birth, maybe it is somebody just getting clawed up. But my mind did kind of go there as well in terms of it. That would be the perfect kind of dialogue you would say to somebody in childbirth under immense duress. So who knows?
Oh man, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm thinking the more you guys describe it, the more you guys talk about it, and Harold Perrineau is so great with his
He's so
emotions
good,
and
man.
putting it out there like
So
that.
good.
That's why I'm almost thinking that the voice, it you know, he very well may be looking at Fatima, but the voice that we're hearing might not be Fatima. But his words of encouragement
Yeah.
would be to her. That I'm almost going to lean towards that right now. I might even stick with that crying might be Sarah, and she's entirely somewhere completely else. She's not there in that room with Boyd while this is going on. I think
Okay.
they may be doing a switcheroo on the voices because maybe Fatima's cries would be too characteristic of her and tell too much if they did play
Mhm.
them. So, ooh, but yeah, you guys are very, very compelling with your argument about, it's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
the way
freaking
he looks, and
yeah.
it would stand to reason that Fatima would be the one that would be the bigger emotional wedge if Boyd is the
Mhm.
target, if they're trying to break him. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm starting to agree, but I'm
It's
still that
the
audio is
sound though,
what's
right?
getting me though.
The
Yeah.
audio. Yeah, man, the audio is what throws me off too, because all of the surrounding information definitely kind of points to Fatima more than anything else in terms of what would like you said, what would impact Boyd the most, who has the closest ties to Boyd. It seems like Fatima, something happening to Fatima and his unborn grandchild, that would break Boyd more than almost anything else. But then again, yeah, you hear the freaking audio and it sounds so much like Sarah. It's yeah, again, I really tip my hat to whoever put together this trailer and decided to show us this scene, because they knew what they were doing. They knew we would react like this and kind of dive into it
Hmm.
head first. And again, that's what
Hmm.
this show's for. I love diving into these kinds of things, and the chat has been absolutely killing it tonight. I love everybody's theories.
Hmm.
D Strand says he had to watch Julie become a monster. Imagine that. That would be pretty. That could kind of break Boyd too as well. I mean, actually watching Julie get turned into a monster right in front of him, that could be nuts. That could be nits. I don't see Boyd reacting different no matter who they are torturing. He's not likely to not care just because he doesn't know them. And again, that is kind of who Boyd is, right? He's the sheriff of the town. He very much cares about everybody. So him having this visceral reaction, it doesn't technically mean that it's somebody that he has a familial tie to. So that's possible as well, Kiwi. Because yeah, Boyd, he might react this way to seeing any innocent get killed in that fashion. So that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always said, man, and that's another great strength of Harold Perrineau's acting as Boyd, is
Yep.
he's always the man that he has to be for the situation. So he could be nurturing, he could be encouraging, he can be. I mean, he made the hard decision with Frank when he had to because it was what the rules
Hmm.
that were agreed to by everyone, including Frank. That was it. But he did it reluctantly, but he did it. So he is always the man for the occasion. I mean, clearly the hero, clearly the guy in this show.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we talked about it, like even when Frank told him it's okay, I want to go in the box, that made things a whole lot easier for Boyd to do it. Because if he was begging and crying and
Yeah.
pleading, and I don't know if Boyd would have gone through with it, because he's got a compassionate heart. He definitely feels for everybody. So I think Kiwi's right on with that. He's
Hmm.
the man he has to be for every occasion. And this occasion, he has to uh, just be encouraging, give them words of strength, because he's obviously powerless to change the situation that
Yeah.
who is across from him is in. So, yep.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, he's the sheriff. He cares about everybody. So I imagine, regardless who's on the other end of that barn, it's going to have a profound effect on him too. And yummy fresh babies is hosted from Ramirez. Oh man, if we see a baby get eaten, that's it. This show will officially kicked up to a next level. Oh man. Two girls that Boyd really cares about, Fatima or Christy. Yeah, again, yeah, absolutely, buddy. He definitely cares about Christy as well. It seems like he and Christy are also, they have a good working relationship. Christy being the town doctor, him being the town sheriff. They've worked well together in the past. They've been through a lot of crazy shit. Just in the very second episode of season one, we see Boyd and Christy kind of spend the night in the RV overnight, wondering whether or not the talisman will even work in that situation. So, yeah, I mean,
Yep.
Boyd has so many close relationships with so many of the characters on the show that it really could be anybody in terms of having that emotional impact. It could be any one of them.
Yeah, because they were the
To
first
break Boyd,
responders. He was the cop and she was the medic. That's
exactly.
so they had that kind of kinship
Yeah.
like separate from, everybody else's relationship, with either of them.
Yeah. Indeed. And Snuggy says, to break Boyd has to be Fatima, maybe Sarah, but I have to go back to Kenny. Yeah, I don't think Snug's a big Kenny fan, but that is totally cool because I'm not the biggest Kenny fan either. But yeah, the woman screams some words, and it's very hard to hear, but it sounds like it could be "I can't" in response to Boyd's words of encouragement. And yes, and that's exactly one of the reasons why I sent this audio clip over to my friend who's kind of an expert in audio and breaking it down and enhancing certain things. I haven't heard back from him yet. He's super busy. I have no idea when he'll get back to me or if he even will. But if he does, I will definitely post the results in our Discord. But yes, you can kind of slightly hear the female voice almost saying something, but it's just, it's so hard to make out what it is. It's really hard to make it out. If the baby comes, it won't be at the beginning of the season. That would be a season finale type thing. And it could be. But again, we know absolutely nothing about this pregnancy, if it's going to be a normal pregnancy or not. Just because we're used to 9 months in a pregnancy doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the case in Fatima's situation. I mean, she was very convinced that she couldn't even get pregnant. So I wouldn't be surprised anyway if her pregnancy was a little bit beyond the norms of normal. If there's something a little weird or supernatural going on with her pregnancy, I wouldn't be too surprised at this point, especially with all the foreshadowing that we got from Ellis in season 2, where he's having all of these dreams of the baby being born with fangs and claws. I mean, I just think, imagine how nuts it would be if this is Fatima giving birth and the nurse or one of the monsters does indeed steal the baby. Could that potentially be one of the keys to creating new monsters? We have no idea how monsters are created, but based on the evidence we got in season 2 from Christie's autopsy, it seems like they could have been human at one point. Could these monsters actually need a baby to turn monsters into monsters? Who knows? I mean, there's so many theories swirling around in my head and everybody else's head, but I love hearing I love hearing all the possibilities from everybody. You guys are killing it tonight. Keep them coming.
And if she's saying I can't, that's almost like in response to like a push kind of thing. So at least
exactly.
I'm a little bit satisfied that it's not something clawing its way out from inside of her.
Oh man, imagine that. Shit.
Like alien style chest burster.
Yeah, maybe Snug was right the whole time. It was some aliens. Yeah, I don't know. And I know Kayla brought up an interesting theory, and I believe a few other people have brought up this theory as well, that potentially the baby could be even the vessel for the entity. We saw the entity in season 2. We weren't quite sure what the entity's end game was. What was the goal of the entity? What did it want in the end? And we get there's one very telling line we get from Sarah to Kenny in season 2, where Sarah says to Kenny, "It got excited when it touched your arm." Almost like it got excited at the prospect of interacting with people in the real world and not just the dream world. Because it seemed like up until that point, the entity could only harm people in their dreams. I get the feeling that maybe could have been the entity's endgame, that maybe it does want a physical form and maybe it wants to escape Fromville overall. And maybe this baby could be some sort of vessel for that. So that was an interesting theory, Kayla. I like that one.
Yeah, and I mean, it won't be the first time. And I mean, we've seen influences of all kinds of shows. We've seen influences of all kinds of mythologies in this thing. It seems like the writers and even the visual effects people have taken influences from all over the place. We've seen Norse, we've seen Native American, we've seen all this and that. We've seen Stephen King influences. We've seen influences from Lost. It wouldn't surprise me one bit to have almost like a Lord of the Rings, where Sauron, his physical body got killed. He didn't die. He just turned into like a non-corporeal form, but he still existed. That the same thing may have happened to the entity. It had a brief flirtation with being in a physical form, and now it's back into its non-corporeal form. And it's looking to get that back again, like you said, to be able to interact with the real world. So
maybe
it wouldn't shock me one bit. Yeah.
And this is pretty interesting as well. From D Strand, I think the cicada attack left the three with the potential to become monsters. Didn't they say we'd see how the monsters become monsters, or am I remembering wrong? The creators did say we would eventually find out how the monsters are created, although they never specified in what season we would find that out. Find that out. I get the feeling that that kind of reveal is probably going to be left for much later seasons. I would love to see that in season three. But I feel like the big reveals, like how the monsters are created, what Fromville really is, what's the tower, like the big ones, who is the boy in white, how do they all get stuck here? I get the feeling some of those bigger mysteries probably won't get solved until later on in seasons. But I do vaguely remember hearing one of the showrunners or reading an article about one of the showrunners or writers saying we would eventually find out how the monsters are made. So that is coming at some point. We just don't know when. We just don't know when, but it is coming. I hear. Here it is coming. I also think it's the baby going. I also think is the baby going to be a monster, or perhaps the baby is the complete opposite. Yeah, again, I mean, this baby is just a huge question mark in terms of what is that? What exactly is going on here? How did she get pregnant to begin with? We have seen this place have some sort of kind of healing properties almost at times where people tend to heal a little bit faster than they normally would in the real world. We saw Ellis get stabbed, very severely, and boom, he's up walking on his feet the next day, getting ready to paint a picture. Ethan, of course, in season one, gets impaled directly through his leg. A day later, he's up walking around on crutches. So we have seen some small evidence here and there that points to people maybe healing a little bit faster in this place. And maybe that aspect of this place is what allowed Fatima to get pregnant in the first place. Maybe Fatima thought she couldn't get pregnant because before she came here, maybe she couldn't. Maybe this place allowed her to get pregnant. So yeah, who
Right.
knows? Maybe it'll be a monster. Maybe it'll be a perfect baby. Who knows? All we
Yeah,
know
and
is
we
Jim sucks, according to Jim. According
yeah,
to Stan.
yeah, that is true, that is true. Yeah, the man bun is the indicator. Yeah,
Mhm.
that is true, and also we've seen some people heal fast and some people don't, and it might have to do
Yes.
with, what they've done. I mean, I don't think anybody's done more to well, I'm trying to think because Jim got injured and he didn't really heal fast.
He didn't
Ethan
really heal
has
fast, no.
fucking Ellis, man, he's been sliced and diced, chopped and julienned, and he's,
The next
he's
day, he's
healing all this.
painting and shit.
Yeah. So he has the record for the fastest healing. I think Boyd does, but it almost seemed like I felt, and I know other people felt the same way, is that Jim's lack of healing might have had to do with his efforts to escape, and
Yes.
Boyd's efforts largely made people in the town comfortable in the town. I mean, he kept order and stuff like that. So he didn't
Mhm.
really do much to escape. He improved their situation, even exploring and bringing back the talismans and whatnot. But he didn't really do a whole heck of a lot up until him and Sarah took their adventure out into the woods. But
Mhm.
he didn't really do much to escape, essentially escape from the place. And up to then, I thought he healed fairly fast. But yeah, Ellis definitely holds the record for for fast healing.
Yeah, I think so. I think Ellis has the record for fast heal. I think he's even got Ethan beat at this point. Um, Bill D says it seems Boyd's arm is healed of the bullet wound by the time by the way he fights back. He's either healed fast or this is later in season three. It seems, and again, it could be. I mean, this for all we know. I mean, this might not happen very early on in season three. Who knows? This could be a scene from much later on in the season. That's definitely possible. Although we do get a nice teaser, but like you said, Ravener, even the trailers that we got for season two of From, and some of the trailers that we got for Shogun, for a lot of the trailers that we see for a lot of shows, they'll throw scenes in these trailers from all over the season, from episodes 1, 2, all the way down to the final
Mhm.
episode. So it's really hard to tell, in sequential order when these scenes are going to come. But yeah, who knows? It could be early in the season, could be way later in the season after he's healed. Maybe that's a good point.
Right, and Bill D might
Very
be
good
right
point.
on. And the thing is, there's nothing to indicate that he isn't completely healed under all that bloody shoulder, too. I mean,
Exactly.
it doesn't
Yep.
look wet. I mean, it could just be stained at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is Jim? Thankfully, nowhere in the trailer, anyhow. Oh, man. Yeah, Jim does not have a lot of fans in this chat, unfortunately, but I will keep defending Jim until I'm blue in the face. I got your back, Jim. Boyd has a soft spot for Sarah because she saved his life. But the monsters are trying their best to break him, and the only woman the only woman who Target would truly break him would be Fatima. I think Fatima would definitely have the biggest impact on him. I don't think it's the only one that would break him. I definitely think Sarah's death, him seeing Sarah's death right in front of him in a very gruesome way, knowing that he couldn't do anything to help her, I think that could definitely potentially break Boyd as well. But I do agree. I do think Fatima would be the most impactful, just considering who she is. Her son's wife, mother of his grandchild. I definitely think Fatima would break him the most, but I don't think Fatima would be the only one that would break him. Maybe it's Jim in the cart. That would explain Jay killing it.
That could be Leah Bradley. Yeah, very well could be. Yeah, it's so true because we did the Venn diagrams of like who, if we had to pick who was going to die, and then we had to figure out how it was going to affect everybody. And Fatima is always pretty much front and center because she did have Ellis, she did have Boyd. Yeah. We thought about Tian Chen, but that would have been the double shot on Kenny because he's lost both his father and then it would be losing his mom. We looked at all the potential impacts if each different person, and I almost do have to believe though at some point if they're gonna really do an emotional payoff in season 3, it has to be one of the main cast. It can't be one of the bus people. I mean, I'm sure that some of the bus people are gonna go. But they have to do that. I think to really raise the emotional stakes for this season. I think so. Yeah, who could it be? And especially
we got to lose at least one main. We got to lose.
Yeah. And this trailer, I think it's almost generally agreed that is Fatima in there. But if they're showing if we're showing Boyd surrounded in the barn with monsters and presumably Fatima, even though I don't think it's Fatima's voice that's doing the screaming,
or Sarah potentially, or maybe someone else.
Whoever it is in this barn, for some reason, I feel like both of these people, and you can hold me to this, guys. Guys in the chat, guys who want to jot this down. I bet both people are going to end up getting out of there in some way. I don't know what it has to be. It could be Donna driving a tractor through the side of the barn and shocking everybody. It could be anything like that. But I for some reason, my spidey sense tells me that both people involved in here. You don't think we're going to see
a death scene in this barn? Basically, you think whoever is with Boyd, they will make it out alive? That's your
on the nose, man. It's too early in the season. It's too on the nose. So yeah, I think this is the reddest of the red herrings. Yep.
Maybe I like it. D Strand says, if they steal Fatima's baby, then how do we know for sure Ellis is the true father? Maybe the baby is just the evil entity being given physical form, especially with the music box gone. And again, that kind of flies right into one of Kayla's theories, and I think it's very plausible as well. As much as we think that destroying the music box got rid of the entity, maybe that was the entity's end game the whole time. Maybe it wanted the music box destroyed. Things like that are very good at manipulation and mental manipulation and getting people to look right when you're really doing something left. Who knows? Maybe Ellis isn't the real father. And again, I mean, we go back to Fatima, very being convinced that she couldn't get pregnant at all. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah, having a monster baby as a result of them killing Smiley, that would be nuts. I mean, again, it seems like there are consequences to certain things here in Fromville. We see there are heavy consequences in season 1 to Boyd and Sarah going into the woods and to Jim and Jade building the radio tower. There were severe consequences. And I think a lot of us were wondering in season 2, what are the consequences going to be to them killing a monster? It seems like that would make this place angry, similar to how they tried to escape. And maybe we just haven't seen the consequences of Smiley's death yet. Maybe it's still going to come around. That's nice. Nice. It's too icy. I like that. Let's see what else we got. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Yeah, Fatima gives birth to Damien, says Lee Bradley. I hope not, but it's certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility. Whoever is in the wheelbarrow isn't necessarily the person screaming in the barn. Exactly. And that's one thing we definitely should kind of understand right off the bat. Just because we see somebody pulling a car in the beginning of the trailer and we see this at the end of the trailer doesn't necessarily mean these two scenes are connected. It could be two totally different scenes. Again, trailers like to screw with us. They like to throw us off every once in a while, make us think left when they're going right. Trailers definitely like to play that sleight of hand out of sequential order game. So yeah, just because we see these two scenes and they could seemingly, I mean, they could be the same scene. They could definitely be connected, but they also could be two totally different scenes as well. So yeah, we do got to keep that in mind. Very true. Very, very true. And Dr. Deb is with you, Leah. Dr. Deb thinks that it is not the same scene. And again, I think it could go either way at this point, but it could certainly be a different scene. Since Christopher can appear and disappear like the Invisible Man and move about unseen, perhaps Christopher threw the rope down to Boyd in the well, moves the ventriloquist doll, got Fatima pregnant. Oh man, it's just a phantom Christopher running around just causing havoc left and right. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, we don't know much about Christopher. He does kind of appear to Jade a few times. And yeah, we see the ventriloquist doll appears to Jade and screams at him. Who knows? I mean, who knows at this point? There's just so much we don't know about this place. There's so much we don't know about Christopher, what happened to him, what the symbols mean. This point, almost everything is still on the table. So who knows, Bill D? You might be right on the money. Who knows? This looks like the same barn where Sarah killed her brother by mistake. Maybe Jade is hiding in the cubbyhole from that episode, watching all of this, and that's why he's next to Boyd, cleaning up the day. And that's a very good point as well. And yes, this definitely is the barn in town. I know we see that one leaked photo of Fatima and Boyd out near the smaller shed that's in the woods, the one that we saw Boyd and Sarah at in season 1. But yeah, this is clearly a different barn. If you see the size of this barn, not just the size of it, but if you look at the interior of it, yes, this looks like the exact same barn that is in the town of Fromville, the big barn that, like you said, where Sarah killed her brother, the one where Sarah locked Tabitha behind the wall, probably around over there and thereabouts. So yeah, it looks like that barn. It looks like this is happening in town, or at least that would definitely be my guess. What do you think? You think this is the town barn?
Oh yeah, I think without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that Jade's hiding in a cubbyhole peeking in, but
That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Or maybe I'm just reaching for straws to explain why Kenny isn't helping Boyd. LOL. Well, that again, if you guys are reaching for straws, keep reaching for them. That's what I say. That's what these shows are for. That's certainly what these streams are for. We want you guys to go wild, throw that tinfoil hat on, have fun with this show. That's what it's meant for. You'll never see anybody ever theory shame you on this channel, whether it's up here on the panel or in the chat. Theory shaming is just something we do not do. I see that way too often in so many other fandoms, and I'm so glad that the fromily fandom as a whole, for the most part, doesn't seem to be doing that. We can all disagree and have different theories, but the theory shaming is one thing we will never do here on this channel. So whatever theories you guys have, however outside of the box they are, definitely do not be shy to throw them in the chat. We want to hear everything.
Yeah, and realistically, we don't really know anything. I mean, the writers haven't really given us a whole heck of a lot. And so whether it's a 30-minute trailer and 30-second trailer, and we'll get the next one and we'll be analyzing that one as well, trying to put them in chronological order to see where they make sense within the framework of
Which I'm sure we will.
a whole story. Yeah. But the thing is, though, I mean, they did that with us on season 2. Every episode would come out and then they'd show the trailer for the next episode. And we just like cats in a damn laser pointer, we'd go running off in a direction, or we'd dedicate all of our mental capacity to try to unravel what's going to happen and how it relates to everything else. And it did, it had nothing to do with anything. The whole episode was not, couldn't have been more wrong. Like 2 seconds into the next episode, every bit of our theories were thrown out the window. So, or else we never got any vindication by the end of the season. So yeah, that's how it goes with this one, guys. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
That's what's so fun about it.
Yeah. For me personally, I always wait to see, and that's why I can't. I mean, my theories are few and far between, just because I do wait till we are actually given something in the context of the show, like actually told something definitively. And even
Mhm.
I don't have that many theories, but and even the one I had about Victor, about his memory being unreliable, and that kind of stuff kind of undoes a lot of what we're shown. I think his memory is unreliable, like applying the bracelet of Tabitha's mom into his
Yeah.
memory when I don't think it was actually there at that time. But that's a whole
Mhm.
nother that's a whole nother
That's a
discussion.
whole
That
nother
theory.
rabbit hole. Yeah, whole
Yeah.
nother rabbit hole right there. Um, but yeah, we got some. Again, it's just like you said. It's so early on. There's so much that we don't know that and that's what's great about a show like this. That we've said time and time again. It's not based on any source material. There isn't a from book that we can go and read and find out all the answers. This is a completely new, all original story, and that's what makes it so fun. That really none of us know what's coming next, and that's what makes these theories, these streams so fun. And yeah, Leah Bradley says Jade's hair is a giveaway that it could be later in the season. And that was one thing I was noticing as well. We see Jade at the beginning of the trailer. His hair is very long. And not only is his hair long, but his beard is incredibly long as well. Like, look at how long his beard is and his hair. So, yeah, it almost seems like and we have no idea what's going to happen in season 3. Could there be some kind of time jump at some point? I really hope not. I'm not a big fan of time jumps. I really like how From has kind of kept things very close and tight in terms of its timeline. Pretty much the entirety of all of the events in season 2 pretty much take place in the span of like a week or two. It's not like it doesn't take place over a long period of time. So that's one thing I've really been enjoying about From up until this point. The timeline that's being presented to us, and we haven't seen any big time jumps. I hope when season 3 starts, it starts off right where season 2 ended. I feel like given how season 2 ended and all of the cliffhangers we were left with, doing a time jump to start season 3 it would just suck at the end of the day. I really hope they don't do a time jump. But that's not to say they might not do a time jump later on in the season. And again, it could potentially solve the Fatima pregnancy if they're planning on doing something with that, if it is a normal birth. But yeah,
Oh man.
just based on his hair and his beard, it looks like some time has passed.
Yeah, because he was completely clean shaven, right, when he was walking around in the caves.
Not completely clean, I don't think, but it wasn't this
Okay.
long.
Okay.
It wasn't this long.
And yeah, and it's like, well, so at what point in the season? Maybe that the barn sequence didn't even start till episode 7, and we're looking at stuff this year from episode 10. I know that obviously, if you're covered in blood and your shirt's all bloody and stuff, if you do have a change of clothes, you're going to change into the cleaner clothes, at your earliest opportunity. But maybe there just hasn't been an earliest opportunity. It really leads,
Maybe.
it leads
Well,
your
but now that
mind.
I'm looking, I'm looking at these photos of Jade from season 2. His hair is already starting to get a little bit long, and so is his beard, actually, now that I look
Oh,
at
okay.
it.
Okay. So it's
Let me see
not
if
too
I can
bad.
pull these up. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually too much of a stretch now that I think about it, now that I look at this. Let's see. Let's take a look. Now here, I got a few shots here. We got one of season 1 Jade, and of course, season 1 Jade is very clean shaven. Here we go. Not clean shaven, but his hair is not long
Oh,
at
okay.
all. Very
Mhm,
short
mhm.
hair, but his beard's already kind of stubbly. Here, we have an end of season 1 Jade. This is Jade from the finale in season 1, the very last episode of season 1, just as the bus is getting ready to arrive. That's what this scene is from. So we can
Okay.
see the difference in his beard from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 1.
Okay,
Now, if we
so
look at both,
short but not cropped in any
no, but
kind of way. Okay.
that's season 1 though. That's not
Yeah.
season 2. That's just
Mhm.
season 1. We also have these here in season 2, a season 2 Jade, right here. We
Oh,
got
that's
this Jade
Martin.
as well. Hair is starting to get a little bit longer, starting to get there. Then we have this
Okay.
Jade as
Little,
well.
yeah, a little bit of
Here we
shag
go.
to it.
This
Okay.
Jade, even more shag on the head, even more shag on the beard. So now that I'm actually looking at it, there might not be much of a time discrepancy between the Jade we see in the trailer and the season 2 Jade that we left off with. Now that I think about it, because it's awful similar. It's awful similar. He's already getting kind of scraggly now that I look at it. Because initially I thought the hair and the beard was a big giveaway as well, that there could be some kind of time jump or that could be happening at the end of the season. Because I just, maybe in my mind, I just didn't remember Jade's hair or beard being that long. But looking back now, looking at some of these season 2 photos, now I'm not so sure.
See, I love that. I
No.
love being able to do that side by side. I love that you have all this available. I know the guys in the Discord go absolutely bananas with their photo analysis and screen side by side analysis and stuff. But it's so cool to be able to satisfy, you get that question, the question comes up kind of on the fly, and we're able to satisfy it virtually instantly, by doing season
We try
1,
when I can find
2,
the
and
right
3.
pictures, that
Yeah.
is. Yeah, sometimes I'm scrolling for an hour trying to find the right pic. But
Yeah,
this is
that's
actually
super.
Jade in the finale, the very last episode of season 2. This is the last final Jade that we see. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty long. It's already looking pretty scraggly. So yeah, maybe the beard and the hair isn't as much of a time jump as I originally thought. Hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe, but
I mean,
again,
I
that's what
can't.
again, like you said, Ravener, that's what's so fun about it, analyzing these things and diving into this trailer and seeing what we can see, comparing it to past episodes. That's what makes this show so freaking fun. And again, I cannot thank each and every one of you guys for participating every week and diving into these trailers along with the rest of us. You guys have had so many good theories. So definitely keep them coming.
Yeah, and we
Definitely
know
keep them
season
coming.
1 was a longer stretch of time, when we know season 2 was all done within the entirety of season 2 is in the course of, like, a week, right? Just a handful of days, and we were
I
able
think
to
it was like
track
a week
that.
or two. It was like a week
Yeah,
or 2 weeks tops, just judging on how many days and nights that we saw as audience members. It
right.
seemed like season 2 took place in the span of maybe a week or 2.
Yeah, because there were times when, like, one episode almost, like, didn't really take a full day and a full night, because we
Mhm.
watched as it happened. For example, like, everybody got into the diner off of the bus, and then the next day was when they were digging the people out of the Matthews house. So a lot of that happened all in a very short time frame. It does look like
Yeah.
if his hair got a little more shaggy, maybe, I don't know. I would be surprised if each episode was 1 week apart in elapsed time.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that, because it doesn't look like a 2-month growth. Uh,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
guessing.
it's man, yeah, it's hard to tell, but again, that's what's so fun about diving into this stuff. And yes, absolutely, Nikki, I 100% agree. Absolutely love this group. I love all you guys that come here and hang out with us week after week. And we're going to be here. We are going to be here diving into From until we get this third season, which we finally have a date for as well. So I appreciate everybody coming out and hanging with us. Love Victor down, but he's not reliable. He again, yeah, me too. I really
Mhm.
like Victor. He's a great character, but you're absolutely right. It's too icy. If we learned anything about season 2, it is that Victor's memory is not reliable at all. I mean, if you're capable of suppressing the memory of having an entire sister, who
Right,
knows
right.
what else he's forgetting?
Yeah, and but they did so good in that scene, because we were going for the ride. We were absorbing we were absorbing the scenes of his saying goodbye to his mom, and the final scenes with his mom when he was a child, and we were on that emotional ride. We weren't questioning, we weren't putting two and two together, we weren't trying to fit the pieces together. And yeah, it was like they did a whole sequence with him interacting with his mom, went back to the auto graveyard with him and it was Fatima. Who was he? No, with Tabitha, with Victor and
Tabitha. First
Tabitha,
with Jade,
and
then with
then
Tabitha.
yeah, and then went back to a memory sequence where his sister was present as well. So
Yeah.
she wasn't there the whole time, and that's why I thought it was so plausible to me, at least, that the bracelet being on his mom's wrist, we couldn't figure out how how Tabitha's bracelet that was made by Jim when they were teenagers was on Victor's mom's wrist when she was saying goodbye to him in Fromville. And that was my theory, is that it never was there. He was, like, his mentally putting it there like a construct, like taking something that he
Mhm.
saw currently off of Jim or off of Tabitha in Fromville, and applying it to the memory of his mom at the same time as he was relating that story of the mom and the sister and the goodbye and the just heart-wrenching, highly emotional, just, and that was a beautiful scene with him too, how he just broke down and like almost like soundless crying. I mean, he was so utterly crushed, and we were all on that ride, man. We were all on that ride.
Yeah, Scott McCord's performance in season 2, I was really disappointed that it didn't get more recognition in terms of just how incredible Victor was in season 2. He definitely should have been nominated for many supporting actor awards, but unfortunately he wasn't. But yeah, he was one of the backbones, one of the heart. He's the heart of season 2, I would say, and maybe the heart of the show in some ways. Victor, his kind of innocent, like childlike mentality on one hand, but then on the other hand, like you said, he's capable of delivering these highly emotional scenes with just incredible acting. So I look forward to seeing Scott McCord in the next season, and Victor has definitely become one of my favorites. I'm going to address this in 1 second, but Kayla also brings up something interesting as well in terms of Fatima's pregnancy. We don't know the consequences of the blood transfusion that Ellis underwent. Very, very true. That is right. Boyd seemingly, at least we thought, got rid of the worms before he did the blood transfusion with Ellis. But I know a lot of us have been thinking that maybe potentially something more than just blood went into Ellis during that transfusion. And then all of a sudden, Fatima is pregnant when she never could have, when she thought she never could get pregnant. So I think there's something a little bit more to this baby potentially being a little bit more than just a normal human. That is right, Kayla. We have to consider maybe something happened during the transfusion between Boyd and Ellis that made Ellis impregnating Fatima, or her impregnation, not very normal. So that is a good point, Kayla. Yeah, I mean, who knows what was going on with that transfusion? We thought the worms were gone, but were they gone really?
We were looking at that IV tube, trying to see even the slightest hint of a squiggle in there, like a worm was moving in. But you never know, man. She might have this baby just perfectly, and then the baby might have a squiggle. You know, that would be another powerful scene. You know,
right?
Oh my God,
imagine
a beautiful, perfect baby
with worms,
and there's a squiggle.
Yes.
Yep.
That could be nuts. Yeah, you just see the baby born and there's worms crawling under his skin already. Kayla, I like it, Kayla. You're onto something there. I totally forgot about the transfusion there for a second. I mean, but it makes sense. It fits. If there is something wrong with this baby, and again, I mentioned it in my review, but Ellis was having these dreams where he's having a dream of the baby being born with fangs and claws. What if that wasn't so much a dream, but a premonition of the future? Because as we know, characters in Fromville are very prone to visions, hearing voices, premonitions. This stuff happens all the time in Fromville.
Yeah, you can dream about drowning in a tub and spit up water when you wake up. So
exactly, you dream about getting burnt by a burnt cicada, and you wake up with a burn on your arm. Like the rules to this place aren't quite known to us, except for the fact that we know they're not normal. That's why I really love the conversation between Jade and the deceased bartender Tom at the end of season 2 as well. When the dead bartender, visits Jade, and Jade says nothing is normal about this place, and the bartender says no, nothing is familiar about this place. And there's a very distinct difference between nothing being normal and nothing being familiar. Just because everything in this place, everything in Fromville seems abnormal, doesn't mean it's abnormal. We just don't know how this place works yet. We don't know the rules of these physics. So I really love that scene where, perception can be everything in a place like this, where just because we think we understand how things work in our world doesn't mean they work the same where this place is. So yeah, that's a good one, Kayla. Who knows what happened with that transfusion? If that transfusion did something to Ellis, and then Ellis in turn impregnated Fatima and put something a little more than just a baby inside her, it could fit. It could fit. I like it. RH says, I'm confused by the monsters' behavior in the trailer. They are acting as if they are human. Have the monsters completely changed in this next season to not being scary at all? And I certainly hope that's not the case. And I know we've talked a lot about the monsters and how we as fans always want the monsters to remain a clear and present danger at all times. You never want the monsters on this show to kind of turn into the walkers on The Walking Dead, where they're kind of just an afterthought after a few seasons. You want the monsters to always be scary, always be dangerous. But yes, it does seem like the monsters are potentially maybe evolving their tactics a little bit. But I mean, as much as they are acting a little more human, I hope they don't just fully humanize these monsters. But what makes these monsters scary is that they're not human. They look like us, but they're not us. And that's what's so scary about the monsters. So if they do humanize the monsters too much, it could potentially take away from how scary they are. But I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah. I hope this evolution makes them more menacing, even more dreadful. In addition to the the outright ability to hack and slash, but yeah, and this may very well serve it. Having them be a little more talky. I mean, I hope it serves the purpose of making them more
Scarier.
monstery. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it very well could, for sure. Victor's big problem, as far as the story goes, is he doesn't remember what he actually lived through and what he just dreamt. Exactly, Victor, he can't distinguish what is real and what is dream. And originally, that's why Victor started drawing. He figured he would draw everything down that he knew was real, just in case he forgot it later on down the road. Similar to how he remembers the massacre in season 1. If you guys think back to season 1, very early on, Victor doesn't even remember that the massacre happened until around episode 3 or 4 or so, when he finally gets that flashback to the massacre happening after he sees the drawing of it on his wall. And we hear a line from Victor in episode 4 of season 1 where he's saying, I'm remembering things that I thought were dreams that weren't really dreams. And that was a perfect case of Victor remembering the massacre when that was something he seemingly suppressed as well. So yeah, his memory is just incredibly unreliable, and even the things that he does remember, he's not even sure if it's a memory or if it's a dream. So yeah, it's one of those. They're playing a lot with that unreliable narrator trope with Victor, and it's pretty fun to see where that's going to go. It's pretty fun. Let's see what else we got. Maybe Victor is the mole, but they keep wiping his memory. How else could he survive so long? Says Unicorn One. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us have been wondering ever since we first found out that Victor was here by himself for a very long, extended period of time. Yeah, how exactly did he survive? We hear Victor say the boy in white helped him survive, but how much could the boy in white have really helped him? It's not like the boy in white could protect him from the monsters back then. There weren't even talismans around. So yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? How exactly did Victor survive this entire time on his own? Is he just that good at hiding, or is there something a little more to it?
Right. Yep. That's a very valid theory. Yeah, very valid theory. Because he was there for God knows how long by himself. Granted, he was feeding on peaches, but other than that, as long as he had a can opener, he was okay on. But yeah, I mean, Donna's talking about hiding under a bush. I don't know how that, until they had. So.
Yeah, and again, yeah, Ethan's going to look like a young man. And actually, we actually do have a shot of the actor who plays Ethan, side by side. Here is Ethan during season 1. This is season 1 Ethan, nice and sweet, innocent little boy. Here is current season 3 Ethan. So yeah, he's grown up quite a bit. He's went through quite a growth spurt. Not as big as the boy in white did. But yeah, Ethan is quickly becoming a teenager. So again, at one point, how do you explain, characters? It's always a problem when you hire child actors, unfortunately. If you're hiring child actors on a series that is going to be on for multiple seasons, multiple years, it always ends up becoming a problem at one point. Seeing these actors age up, naturally, you would think you would have to write something in the script to kind of make up for the timeline, whether it's a time jump, something along those lines. I really hope we don't get a time jump. But yeah, Ethan's looking like he aged years over the span of just a few weeks if we're going by Fromville time. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? I love hearing everyone's theories. It's definitely part of the fun. Absolutely. And that's probably the biggest, that's probably the most fun that it is for me personally. I absolutely love hearing everybody's theories. Watching the show, I absolutely love watching the show. Don't get me wrong. It's probably my favorite show that has come on in years. But what's even more fun is this right here, hanging out with all of you guys, hearing all of your thoughts and your theories, what you guys think is going to be coming, what you guys thought from the trailer. This is just as much, if not even more fun than actually watching the show itself. So again, I can't thank each and every one of you enough for hanging out with us week after week and diving into all this craziness. Love it. And yeah, Jade's been growing out his crazy hairdo and beard for a while now. His hair really looks a bit longer to me in the trailer. I'm guessing there won't be a time jump, and I don't want that either. I don't really want one either. Again, I'm not a huge fan of time jumps. I know from a writing standpoint, it can be a very convenient way to kind of clean some things up. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of time jumps myself. I really hope season 3, at the very least, even if we do get a time jump maybe later on in the season, at the very least, I hope season 3 starts right where season 2 ended. Because again, all of those cliffhangers that happened at the end of season 2, where exactly is the dog leading Boyd? Jade is still down there in the caves. And of course, where the heck is Tabitha? All of these cliffhangers that season 2 ended on, it would be a shame if season 3 started with a time jump and all of that stuff got explained via flashback. I hope that's not the way they're going. I
Yeah,
really
that would
hope
be
not.
super cheap. That would be El Cheapo. That would be the worst. Yeah. I mean, and I think they kind of did tie themselves into, I mean, they might, they might reserve the right to do a time jump at some point later, but no, they have to address at least the 3 loose ends that you mentioned, in episode
Yeah,
1.
the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Early on.
indeed. Yeah, I mean, we're all wondering, where exactly is that dog leading Boyd? I know everybody wants to find out where Tabitha is, and I do as well, but part of me wants to find out where that dog is leading Boyd even more, because that's always been a very interesting part of this show, these dogs and them kind of seemingly leading Boyd to things that he needs to find, whether it's the talismans leading him back to the town after his run-in with Martin. This dog, every time the dog shows up for Boyd, it's seemingly there to help Boyd. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on there. But yeah, Victor must know so much as well. Yeah, Victor must know so much that would help some of its repressed memories. But why all of a sudden did he know to take Tabitha to the exact tree to get her to the lighthouse? I think that's something Victor knew the whole time. I just think he was reluctant to share it because he's afraid if he shares too much with people, it's going to put them in danger. Victor has that one line in season 2 where he finally actually explains why he hasn't told everybody everything he knows, because he feels if anyone gets too close to him or if he says too much, it puts that person in danger. So I get the feeling Victor knew about that bottle tree and it leading to the tower. I have a feeling he knew that the entire time. It's just something he didn't want to share because he was afraid. At least that's how I kind of took it anyway. And yes, as Leah Bradley says, the mind will definitely suppress traumatic memories naturally. In our world, children with traumatic childhoods don't remember a lot of their childhood. It's how they survive. Absolutely, it's a defense mechanism at the end of the day. That is just how the human brain works. If you go through a trauma that is traumatic enough, if you go through a trauma that is traumatic enough, the brain does have a way of kind of resetting itself almost, and you will kind of forget that trauma as a way of protecting the rest of the brain. So that's very much a real thing that happens for sure. Indeed. And Victor has more trauma than most, you would think at this point. Everything that Victor has been through, between getting stuck here in Fromville, being the sole survivor of that massacre, not knowing what happened to his sister, failing to protect his sister, the guilt that he must be living with for that. Can totally understand why he's kind of blanked some things out of his memory. The trauma is probably next level when it comes to Victor.
Oh, for sure.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Jade seems to be moving from a logical, scientific-based character to one that's more intuitive, illogical, almost spiritual thinker in a way, more into having to believe the unknown. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Jade came into the town with a very kind of binary look of how things work, black and white. And yes, over the course of the seasons, Jade has definitely started to kind of soften his stance on that, where at first he's kind of only focused on building the radio tower, trying to get the electricity to work, figuring out this, figuring out that. And then in season 2, Jade is all about these symbols. He wants to figure out what the symbol is about. So yeah, Jade slowly goes through that kind of transformation where at first he's kind of all tech and logic based, but by the time we get to the end of season 2, he's descending into a mystical cave on the direction of a phantom bartender who's dead, trying to figure out a symbol that's been popping up in his dreams and in his waking and while he's awake. So yeah, Jade definitely seems to be a little bit more open to the kind of supernatural, almost spiritual side of things now than he was when he first got here.
Yeah, and but the same guy is also the guy that improved the distillery to produce a better product of alcohol. Yeah, and meanwhile, yeah, he's also using the bottles in the bar to create the symbol just to look at. Yeah, trying to unravel the symbol. Very good point. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Well, that's why he was
definitely
drinking. It was medicinal. He just needed the bottles. It was scientific. He didn't need the
yeah,
booze.
experiment. Yeah, there you
Good stuff, guys. When life gives you lemons, squeeze them dry. Sun Tzu. Hell yes. And welcome, Sun Tzu. It's an honor to be in your presence. Good stuff, guys. It's all in Victor's mind, or a story told by a grown-up Ethan to his own kid. Everything that's happening here as a whole, like the entire story that we're watching, this could potentially be, you know, a later version of Ethan telling it to his kid, or maybe all in Victor's mind. That's interesting. That's pretty interesting. Again, I mean, there's so much stuff that's going on here that point to one thing, but also point to 10 other things all at the same time. And again, that's what I love about this show, and that's why I love none of us really know where this thing is going. Shows that are based on source material are fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I am a huge House of the Dragon fan. Cannot wait for season 2 to come around, which we will be covering extensively here on the channel. But something like this that doesn't have that source material, where it's something that none of us know that's what's coming, it just makes the conversation around the show a little bit better, knowing that there's not some secret knowledge that we can go and find and figure out where this thing's going. Everybody's
Yeah.
on the same playing field. I love that.
That would be amazing if it I mean, that would be one thing that I would not expect if it did turn out to be just a campfire story, a ghost story, you know, by either Victor or Ethan. Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would not have come up on my bingo card. No.
Wouldn't have come up on mine either. No, that's a good one though.
Mhm.
I think Tom was alluding to the way of thinking, process shifting, perceptive ship reality. Indeed, exactly. You know, Jade's kind of used to things, you know, from what he's known. You're a product of your environment, and you're a product of your upbringing at the end of the day. And Jade grew up in tech world. He grew up in Silicon Valley. I know his plates. I know it seems like he was from New York, but he was very much a tech guy. So he came up in that kind of setting. So him landing in a place like this, he's automatically going to go to the most binary answer to try and explain something, because that's just what he's used to. That's what he knows. But yeah, the bartender was trying to get him to realize that you got to throw that way of thinking out. Like, you're in a totally different place. Just because things don't seem normal here doesn't mean they aren't normal. They're just not familiar to you. And
Right.
again, that was such a good scene.
But he's also having a conversation with the dead bartender, and he just had to establish from he's like, "You're not real, right?" And then he's like, "No."
Didn't you die? Yeah. Okay, just making sure. He handles it pretty well, if nothing else.
Yeah.
What is up, Lord Nemesis? Good to see you, my friend. Bow. Bow indeed. How everything appears here in Fromville is deceiving in general. So what do you trust? Again, I feel like that's one of the beauties of this show. That's why I love this show so much, because sometimes you can't just trust what you're seeing, especially in the context like this, where you just get a quick trailer with a bunch of different scenes all stitched together. I mean, what can you trust at that point? Not much until we see the episodes. So that's a good point. That is a good point. And thank you, Jen Hack, for being a member for 10 months. So excited to be with my Fromily for season 3. And we are so excited to be here as well. And so excited to have each and every one of you guys here with us week after week, diving into all of this stuff. And again, I know I say it time and time again, but I say it because I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. We love doing these streams. I absolutely love hearing from all of you guys in the chat. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and your theories on everything that is going to be happening for season 3. And this is just the beginning, of course. This is just part 1 of our trailer breakdown. I will also be going live for another Fromville edition on our regular Sunday night time as well. Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the channel. We are going to continue this conversation, diving into the rest of this trailer. But again, I can't thank each and every one of you enough for coming out here and sharing your time and your energy and your thoughts with us for so long. I really look forward to these streams every week. It's a blast diving into these trailers and seeing what you guys spotted, what we spotted, how it differs, how it compares. It's just fun. It just feels great kind of getting back into From mode, I guess.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, and it keeps us sharp. I mean, we have to see these episodes again and again, trying to remember every single thing, because I know you guys keep us honest. You guys will challenge us, at every turn if we don't know what we're talking about. And their theories are theories, but if we get the facts mixed up, that's not conducive to a good show. And you guys definitely keep us honest. Or if I get tongue tied and I forget a character, I forget Clara's name, which I had to refresh myself because you can't go through life calling her the eye patch girl.
yeah.
That's how it is, man. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, you guys really are the best. I mean, we love doing these streams. And I agree, absolutely. Jade is my personal favorite character. Boyd is a very close second, with Victor right there pulling up in that 3rd place position. But yeah, for me, Jade is my favorite character. I love Jade. I love the kind of story arc that his character has been undergoing, and the change that the character underwent as well. We saw how kind of childish and shallow that Jade was in the beginning of season 1 when he first arrived here. But you look at where Jade was then and how he kind of progressed to the end of season 2. He's grown a lot as a character. And that's the kind of stuff I really like. I like good character growth, good character development, and of course, his humor. I mean, at the end of the day, Jade's humor is one of his best attributes.
All right, ding-dongs. It's almost go time. Anybody fucks this up, you spend a night in the box.
He's just the best. I mean, how can you not like Jade? He's definitely, he's a very enigmatic, a very that's right. One thing I wanted to mention about Jade, I believe we mentioned it last year as well, but if you remember back to the scene in season 2 in the junkyard with Jade and Victor, when Jade is actually playing the violin to Victor, that is actually really David Alpoy, the actor who plays Jade, playing that violin himself. The actor who plays Jade is actually a world-class violinist, apparently. So the violin scene that we see in season 2, that is most likely really him playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to Victor, because I had no idea he's a kind of world-class violinist, David is. So just another thing you end up finding out about these very talented actors and actresses. They've been killing it. And yes, we do have a Jade emoji. I just added some new emojis to the channel. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from emojis. We have a Jade, we have a boy in white, we have the talismans, we have a new Boyd, we have Smiley, and of course we have the cowboy. So yes, we have all new emojis. So anyone who is a channel member, feel free to use as much of those emojis as you want. And if you guys have any other requests for some other from emojis, let me know, and I will definitely make them happen as well. But yeah, there they all are. Unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't show them on screen. But yes, we got Jade, Boy in White, the Talisman, Boyd, Smiley, and the Cowboy and stuff. And yeah, I was just about to mention Jade's line about spending a night in the box. I was cracking up. My favorite Jade line of all time. And ringing that bell. All ring ding dongs. Yeah. He's just great. I mean, he's got some of the best one-liners. His comedy is really good. His timing is great. He's just all around. He's a very fun character to watch, and I cannot wait to see where Jade's character goes in season 3. And I cannot wait to see what he finds out about the symbol as well. We did very famously hear from the showrunner of From, during the season 2 promotional material, we did actually hear that they would find something down in those tunnels.
The tunnels underneath the town may help us understand what that symbol is that Jade has been searching for.
I've seen this.
There it is. So straight from the showrunner's mouth himself, down there in those tunnels will potentially be something that helps Jade solve the mystery of those symbols. So we got a lot to look forward to in season 3, guys. I cannot wait to continue to break this down. Unfortunately, we are going to get ready to close this one down now. I hate to do it, but I do have to get up early tomorrow, and I know Ravener does as well. But we will be continuing the conversation this Sunday night right here on the channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our normal Fromville Hour stream. So definitely get your thoughts and your theories and everything we didn't talk about tonight. Get it ready for Sunday night and come back and hang out with us. We will be going live again at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel for the Fromville Hour. And we will continue to break down this awesome trailer and see what it could potentially mean for season 3. But again, can't thank each and every one of you guys for coming out this evening. You guys are always so awesome. I cannot thank you enough for spending your thoughts, your time. Time is very precious these days. I know how important time is. Everybody has families, jobs, kids, etc. So anybody who spends even a little bit of time to hang out with us and share your thoughts and theories, that really does mean the world to us. Like, I can't state that enough. So big thank you to each and every one of you guys. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, definitely hop into the Fromville Discord. There is a link for it in the description of this stream, and leave your thoughts and theories and questions in there throughout the week. There's always a lot of conversation happening in the Discord, especially lately since we finally have some new footage to break down. Hop in the Discord, let us know your thoughts and theories, and definitely come back and hang out with us this Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we will continue to dive into the season 3 trailer of From. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay classy, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and we will see you on the next one.
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what she said. Let's see.
You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know.